Thank you for joining us. This is Paul Wilson.
And Chris Emke.
And you're listening to Diesel Performance Podcast. Guys, today we have on a really special guest, the youngest all-truck challenge competitor ever of all time, Jack Cordeiro. Jack, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Man, we're glad to have you on. We're really excited to, get inside your head and, kind of figure out, what you got going on, I think.
Yeah, we want to talk.
To be here, guys.
Absolutely, man. We want to talk about all-truck challenge.
So, Jack, in prior interviews, we definitely get a little bit of background of past experience with competing in King of the Streets or all-truck challenge as it is this year. But you have a little bit of a different background, a little bit different of a spin, more or less. So what's your background with the competition in prior years?
So I've known Sarah for about 5 or 6 years, and I've always been going to all of her events that she puts on. But this is my first time competing for All Truck Challenge. I went last year, covering all the media and all that, and helping her set up. But it's gonna be fun to compete finally.
Man, so I feel like you had the added advantage of you didn't have to compete to get a truck set up, and you were able to scope out all the competition.
That's right. Get all the inside info.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
All right.
Like that.
Now, flipping from one side of the camera to the other can be challenging. It can be nerve-wracking. Is there any part of this competition that you feel like seeing it last year, documenting it last year, did that help with that? Do you feel like really confident since you know more about it?
Yeah, it does, because you can see that all these trucks that make all the big power, it doesn't really mean much if you're not consistent.
Of course.
I love that.
Yeah, so I think that'll help, being just consistent the whole time.
So what kind of truck are you going to be competing with this year in All Truck Challenge 2021?
I'm driving my daily driver, my 2006 LBZ Duramax.
Okay.
Yep, so I drive that every day to work, and now it'll make its way to Ohio. I actually drove it there last year with the trailer and all the side-by-sides. Yeah, that was fun. So this time it's going to be doing some real work over there.
I love bringing a daily driver to a competition like this.
A daily driver could be such a loose term. So give us a little give us a little background. What's the current setup on this 2006 LBZ Duramax?
It's got a lift pump and a tune and a Garrett 3794 turbo, built transmission, Suncoast by Zach Toucan, and tuning done by Chris Rodricks at Rodricks ATV, and that's about it for the setup.
So really, yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, we're having a hard time even saying it as a daily driver. This is like what we would generally call a fully built stock.
Yeah,
I love it, man.
It was. This was my first truck too. I've had a lot of memories with this. I built it because over here in Westport, my dad has an auto body shop. So when I bought this truck in 2016, it was originally white. Now it's stealth gray metallic.
Ooh, nice.
We did all rockers, cab corners, bedsides, fenders, cowl hood. Yeah, so now the truck looks really clean.
No. So you mentioned something earlier in this interview, and you were talking about consistency and having the ability to kind of be on the inside as a spectator and seeing, some of the flaws and some of the strengths and some of the competitors. And I do agree with you on that. Consistency is everything in winning a competition, keeping the truck together. It's not always about making the highest horsepower number, where we see a lot of competitors in past years. That's the goal, right? They want to be second on the dyno, first on the dyno. You've seen in other competitions, 2,000 horsepower, 1,800 horsepower. But being consistent and having a nice, turnkey style truck that can be, that has the ability to, more or less, can't think of the word, but you can.
Dude, you could just say it's simple here, man. No. You're not worried about it blowing up like everybody else we talk to that's at 1,800 horsepower.
I can't believe I'm having this. I can't believe I'm having this problem. I can't believe it.
Well, at any rate, Chris, what
Thanks,
I am
Paul.
impressed by is I'm impressed by a truck that you're not leaning on the ragged edge, but it also means that there's some advantages and disadvantages to that, right? So when we're talking about bracket racing this year, having a stock truck, I would consider an advantage in a bracket race because you're going to have a very consistent ET overall. Do you have a lot of drag race experience?
Yeah, so over here at New England Dragway. They have the 603 diesel events, and I
Sure.
like bringing my truck up there. And I've ran a bunch of times up there.
What do you run for an ET?
13-1.
13-1, okay.
Very, very consistently. But the last time I went up there, I blew my tranny.
Oh,
So,
no.
You know, I'm just waiting for another time at the built tranny. I haven't gone up since then.
Okay. Now, we hear you have a lot of experience in another category. So what do you have the most experience in with this truck?
I mostly do sled pulling. I'm consistently going to the Southern New England truck pulls. That truck usually does pretty decent over there. I have a lot of good setup with Derek Borden because he's very well known in this area, and Sarah knows him very well too. Yeah, he helps me out a lot with all the setup on sled pulls, so that makes that truck really kind of a weapon on the track.
I like that. Good
like
phrasing. What class do you run?
I run work stock and super street.
Now, how does your truck shape up out that way? Where the truck would definitely pass work stock comparing turbo, this that, but the hot street class, where do you generally run in the rankings there?
It's hard to say because in that class you can run front weight and just have a little bit of a different setup with dual wheels and everything. But like I don't want to get too crazy into that class because at the end of the day I swap wheels and drive the truck home too.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's something that Sarah's always been big about is this competition is a street truck style event.
Yeah.
This isn't a competition purpose build style truck, and there's no secret here. You are going to be competing with some of those said trucks, and your truck, its strengths, its weaknesses. You know that there is a secret weapon that you have, and that's that consistency, and the truck inside out, and the truck is reliable. What do you think about being that it is a daily driver? When you talk about all these different events, when we talk about the driving test, or we're gonna this year, I believe it's gonna be idling, if I'm not mistaken, Paul.
Something like that.
That's probably an event that has no concern to you whatsoever. What's the event that you are most nervous about?
I would probably say sled pulling, but I mean the 20-inch hitch height does help for me, and I don't know. I'm not really concerned. I'm just ready to do whatever and see how the truck handles it.
That's interesting. You say that 20-inch hitch height helps you. Now
Yeah.
I understand on the sled pulling dynamics about the higher the hitch height is, the better for the truck, right? So as we start to drop it down, do you think that's enough to level the playing field? Because you're going to be pulling against guys that are like Central Ohio hardcore sled pullers with 1,800 horsepower trucks and cut tires. How do you think you stack up in that competition? Do you think that hitch height is going to be enough?
Yeah, it's not going to be nearly enough to compete with people making 3 times to 4 times as much power as me. And I think that, it just kind of levels the playing field for like people with the low horsepower trucks that, can be close in distance. And I think you'll see a lot of that where we're all going to be close in distance.
Let me ask you this here. You compete 2021, you finish respectfully. Does that fuel your fire into, I don't want to say hacking the truck up, but turning that truck into more of that competitive, style truck for, the following year competition?
Yes.
Or is this going to be something where you're going out, you want to prove that a true street truck in street fashion can compete in this event, stay together and run, top middle of the pack and drive home in one piece, and that's enough for you?
Well, I've seen a lot of times where people get that idea where they want to go full blown, and it doesn't end up in their favor at all.
No, you're wise beyond your years.
Yeah, I'm very content with what my truck does, and for someone my age, I just have a badass truck.
No, that's awesome.
What a great way of looking at it. the dirt drags is another area of the competition where I could see your truck being competitive. We're only doing the 300-foot runs. The guys who, big spool, a lot of staging.
I would have to say dirt drags are going to be where his truck is going to shine because it doesn't matter the power.
Right.
And if anything, his truck is going to be the most consistent. Consistent was what I was looking for before. It was there. I thought of it. We're good.
Yeah, last year I did. Yeah, last year I did do some dirt drags for the other event that Sarah had, like for spectators.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you do? Where'd you place?
I can't remember. I know that Tiffany drove around me.
Okay.
And I always get shit for that. But
you're gonna learn from your mistakes, right? You're not gonna let that happen again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so that was really fun. I got to do the dirt drags and then still hook up to the trailer and go home.
I mean, I would have to say, a truck of your caliber with that turbocharger, you're not having to play with a super loose converter and big 300 or 400 frame charger in the valley. You'd have to play with that spooling up. You literally just mat the throttle and away you go. So you should be able to out-tree these guys that you're up against, which is, in my opinion, going to be one of your biggest attributes when you talk about dirt trucks.
I bet he's also half the age of some of the competitors,
at least.
if we're just being honest.
Yeah.
Do you think that gives you an advantage? Do you think that your youth, I know when we talked to guys like Tony Burkhart, when we interviewed him and Tyler, and he was saying, hey, man, listen, like, age is age. Like, my kid is now quicker than I am at reaction time, just physically. Just where it is. Do you think that's going to help you out? Do you think you'll tree some of these old dudes with glasses?
Yeah, I think I might be able to, depending on, like, if I'm shaking up or anything, Hopefully I don't get nervous going up against, some of these big trucks.
Oh, big trucks, you know what they say.
Jesus.
They're not all that fast.
Yeah. All overrated, of course, right?
Now, being that you've been a spectator in the past and, you kind of know the ins and outs of the event, who are some of the competitors that are going to be competing in 2021 that, you think are going to make it into those top spots? Who do you have your eyes on?
Well, like, one that I have a lot of respect for is like Joey Adelman, cracking the top 5 with the Duramax. I thought that was pretty cool. And then Josh McCormick too. He'll be up there, and Petrick and Payne.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a full roster this year of big hitters on all platforms, by the way. So we got a lot of love for everyone.
It's not like, when you would see it in traditionally in past years, like with UCC, it was generally Cummins powered vehicles, and we saw Tony Burkhart kind of break that this year, right?
Yeah.
And in Diesel Power Challenge, they're in years past, you would see once in a while a Power Stroke kind of be up there, but it was very dominant in the Cummins world, right? So to see, King of the Streets last year, All Truck Challenge this year, we're not interviewing Cummins guys. It's not, I got a 5.9 common rail. I have a 06 common rail.
5.9 third gen.
6.7 sleeve down, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of 6.6 Duramaxes in this. So, that's our wheelhouse, of course. So we like to see that
a little bit
some more than others. So, to your point there, it's definitely a nice widespread.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is going to be a great competition. I know we're all really excited to see you specifically get out there and compete. But hey, man, nobody builds a truck by themselves. Now, you don't have an extensive list or 20 years of contacts, but who is it that you'd like to give a shout out to?
I would like to thank Chris Rodricks for tuning the truck, and Derek Borden. He's helped me out a lot with the truck also, and his brother Dougie. They go to the polls with me all the time. And my brother Nick, he also truck polls. He has an LLY Duramax, but he wasn't able to make it this year. That was the original plan, but a window in the block kind of ruined that. So the little bro had to step up.
As a little brother myself, that was the best comment I will hear in any interview ever. Thank you so much. But hey, man, we really do appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Listeners, thanks so much for sticking with us throughout this show. This has been another episode for the All Truck Challenge. I'm Paul Wilson.
And Chris Emke.
Thanks for listening.
Oh, my God. Jack, I'm so sorry. Okay.
I thought you guys got it on the first shot.
We usually, I promise you, we usually do.
Sounds way
But
better on
that's
the
the
phone.
blooper. That's the blooper. That is the blooper.